Hello, everybody. So, today, bringing you a review, as you can see, of Assassin's Creed, the original specifically. Interesting little point, just very quick. I wanted to point out that I actually really liked the first one when I first played it. I've played it about 5 or 6 times. I've enjoyed it every time. But interestingly, recently, I actually just recently beat it again right now, and I'm trying to make my reviews based solely around the games I play in relation to games as it stands right now. So my review now is going to be a little bit different in retrospect compared to what my review was back when I first played it, which is available on my GameSpot account, which is irrelevant. Um, Although actually, if you want to see it, I'll actually link it here anyways, so that if you want to compare my old thoughts to my new thoughts, then you have a little bit of a thing to go off of, so you can formulate a grand opinion of it. So, and the fact is, the game itself, actually, the setting is really nice. I actually really like that it's set in Jerusalem and that area during the Crusades. You play as I guess you could say he's a Middle Eastern guy named Altair, who is a part of the Assassins Brotherhood. Um, and the point is, you're trying to take out targets, high yield targets, which are historical figures that you'll recognize some of them even. Because of their involvement with the Templars, which are against what you guys believe in. So that's essentially the gist of the story. You'll also get a little bit where you play as this guy named Desmond, who is in present day, and you're actually living his ancestors' memories, which are the assassins, in order to move forward in the series and the storyline. So it's kind of an interesting concept. I actually liked the way it was set up. It's very intriguing because this means you can explore many facets of history, which, of course, if you're familiar with the series, that's what it does. But back then, when it came out, this was amazing. It was really cool. The biggest thing I really enjoyed was the liveliness of the environment. Compared to nowadays, it's not that impressive, but back then it was really interesting because you have a lot. The cities are full of people, guards, everything, and you kind of seamlessly go around each city and explore it, do what you got to do your missions and everything, while the populace goes about their business. Um, the problem really lies in the type of people you deal with. You really have a very set mold for each type of person. You have the average citizen, you have the scholars who you can hide with, who just kind of walk around peacefully. You have the beggars who really get in your way and keep begging for money, so they're really irritating. And if you try to kill them or throw them out of the way, you get in trouble, of course. Innocence. And then you have the crazy people who will shove you and try to hurt you, basically. But same thing, you can't hurt them because they're still citizens and they're crazy. And then you have the guards, essentially, or Templar, or whatever, basically the bad guys. And then you have one more category of the kind of guys that walk around with throwing knives that you can pickpocket. So that's really, and the models of the characters all based around these set rules. It works. In the game, it works. It's a little irritating sometimes because the beggars can really get in your way, and it feels like an unnecessary obstacle in the form of a cheap obstacle, because it gets to the point where, like, it's so random that you can't do anything. There's no way of getting around it. You throw them, you get caught if you're in the middle of a mission, like trying to pickpocket a target or something. You can't kill them because then you lose a lot of health, and all the guards are onto you, and you can't get rid of them even if you're like going indiscreet in your traveling. They'll still bug you. So that's a little bit irritating. Same thing with the crazy people. Same problem. Um, but the crowd being dynamic is pretty nice. You have fluid movement, which means you can move. You like hold R trigger. I'm playing the Xbox 360 version, by the way. I'm sure it's the same thing on PS3, and PC will probably be similar. I'm not sure how the keyboard mouse would work. But you hold R trigger in order to sprint, and then you can hold like A in order to be able to, I guess, what would the word, free roam, I guess, so that you can kind of jump from place to place. Now, this is all great and works mostly fluidly, but the problem is when you're in an intense situation or you're surrounded by guards and you're trying to escape because you don't want to fight, because the fighting can take a while. I'll get to that in a second. The problem is that you'll get stuck in some places, and the hit detection when you're in free roam mode isn't really perfect. There's a lot of issues with it. Like, for example, there'll be a ladder right in front of me, like right here. And then I'll be surrounded by guards, and there's a wall, and there's maybe a platform up here. And what'll happen is I'll be trying to run right through to it, but then I'll be like 1 centimeter off, and suddenly I'll just run up the wall. Or I'll go straight at it, and I'll still run up the wall, right where the ladder is, and then I'll fall down, of course, since I'm not grabbing the ladder. And then eventually I'll grab the ladder and go up. By then I've probably lost all, if not most, of my health. That's an issue that I experienced not a lot. It mostly happened near to the last third of the game when the guard saturation is a lot higher, so you have less movement room, which means you're stuck sitting here having to fight guards every time you do anything. Especially once you get near the end of the game, everybody's on alert, so every little thing you do gets you in trouble. So that gets a little irritating, but it's a minor complaint. Overall, for a first in the series, it's actually reasonably fluid. It actually does pretty well. But I think the biggest problem is overall with the free roaming, the hit detection can be weird. Like, I'll hold my control stick clearly in this direction, and I'll be running like this, clearly in the same direction. And then I'll jump off, and then instead he'll go off this way a little bit, or this way. Or he won't even jump off, he'll just hang off the ledge, or he'll just go straight down into a haystack, and then fall into it, which is how you kind of escape from guards, without knowing that it's there. Oftentimes you do know because there'll be birds around ledges or something, but in the heat of combat or something, or if you're just trying to travel, you might not notice it. You'll just jump down, okay, I gotta climb all the way up again. It can be a little irritating. And that being said, the stealth mechanics are actually pretty fun. You get a hidden blade, and I believe it's his left hand, where you can sneak up on people and just kind of assassinate them real quick. It's kind of nice if you're hanging from a ledge, you can assassinate them, or you can get behind them, assassinate them. You can jump on top of them from above a building, like they're down here. You're up here, you can jump down and assassinate them. Different ways. You also get throwing knives, which you can throw at archers or at other people in order to kind of help you out. Depending on how you play that weapon, you can actually still be pretty stealthy and not get caught. You have a short sword, which is for straight up fighting. And then you can go bare fists if for some reason you wanted to. The only time you really use that is to interrogate people. You punch them a few times to kind of loosen them up, and then you get information. So those are the weapons. The other thing I like is the controls. Like, the way the controls are, it's set up fluidly based on body movement. Like, you know, you have the 4 buttons on the controller, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The top button is more akin to the head. So, like, it's for eagle vision, things like that. And then you have these two that are kind of like for, I guess you could say arm movement, for mid or mid-body type of actions. And then the A is for leg movement. That's for moving around, free roam. Like, this one will be for grab. I forget what Y was, or what X was for. I don't remember. But I mean, point being that it's all kind of mapped based on the body. So it's a little more intuitive, and it makes more sense when you're pressing the buttons. Like, I could play the PlayStation version and still know how to play because I don't need to know what the actual buttons are. It makes sense logically how the button layout is set up, which is nice. I actually really like that. The environments are pretty good. From my understanding, they actually went a little bit out of their way in order to try to be as accurate to the actual Jerusalem and everything in the Crusades layout and style. It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent. That being said, it's actually so the environment's nice. It looks pretty decent. The story develops pretty well. The biggest problem is the main missions are great, and they're pretty varied in the way you have to do their assassination targets, but then you get to like about a third through the game and you realize the side missions are all the same. You're either running around buildings collecting flags, interrogating somebody to get information, you're eavesdropping on somebody, or you're pickpocketing somebody. That's essentially the gist of what you do, and you have to do a bunch of these in each section in order to unlock more stuff. A little irritating. It gets repetitive, but you could always skip it. You could just do the minimum and continue if you don't really care for it, and still have a lot of health. You get health from doing these bonus missions, health expansion. But it's not necessary. I'm a 100%er, and if you're a 100%er, it can get a little irritating. But, I mean, it's not necessary, like I said. But it is repetitive if you want to do it all. That's true. I think that's the gist of most open-world games, though. Open-world style games, it does get repetitive because you can only do so much in mission variety in a game structure like that. It's kind of interesting. So you have like this hub area called the Kingdom, which is between all the cities, and you have Jerusalem. I don't know why I can't think of any of the other cities for some reason. Damascus and etc. Like, I think there's 4 cities. You can kind of free roam. Like, you have the Kingdom and you have 4 cities, and then you can travel through them with horses back and forth and stuff. And each city is split into 3 independent sections. Well, not independent. 3 sections for each mission, where you're going to go in and actually do something in that area. But you can travel. At first, you can't travel back and forth between each area, but as you progress in the story, each area gets unlocked, and as you unlock that area, you have full access to that area and any previous areas in that city you had. So it is kind of linear in that sense. Like you get more and more areas as you go. But like for example, Damascus. Once I've done all the first 2 assassination missions, and I come back, the 3rd area will be unlocked, so I can explore the whole city if I want. That means I can access unlockables as I need to when I need to. It's just flags you can unlock for more health and Templar you can kill. That's it. So I mean, overall, I actually really enjoyed the game, but it has a few flaws that really stops it from being as good as it could be. So ultimately, my spiciness level for it would be a 7. 7 out of 10. I'd realistically give it a 6.5, but I'm rounding up because for the first game in the series, it did pretty well. And there you go. I hope you enjoyed my review, and check out Assassin's Creed if you're interested. Thanks for watching.